Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is the Alphonsus. I'm kidding. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dave from Team Gradelock, and we're back again with another Mr. Zorga profile. Definitely, that got a definite upgrade, but we also got a lot more worse matchups. So we're going in for the uphill climb. And let's do this. First off, we're going to go down the ride line. Obviously, you still play the basic. You go with your SP, Dream Nibbling, Rancor Chain, Black Tier Hush Dragon, and your Zorga. Reason being is because you like drawing cards, you like bouncing orders back to your hand, and Zorga, because he's important. We're going to start with grade 3s first. Finishing the playset for Zorga, having you need the good old 4 of. The Persona Ride's too important. I know a lot of decks right now have the ability to take out the Persona Rides because they have better stuff. Zorga's not one of them. Technically you can if you want to try to teeter in more orders to mess around with, but I think the Persona Ride to be able to get the plus on the front board is very key, very important. If anything, I would actually cut this down, maybe down to playing 2 to 3 in order to play more orders if you want to readjust the numbers or anything like that. Next up, we got the grade 2s. We're going to be playing 2 the brand new Fleet Eater or Fleet Swallower. So he's a new card from BT02. When you Alchemagic this turn and this unit attacks, Soul Blast 1, this unit gets +5, and when your opponent must guard with 2 cards from their hand. So basically, it's just adding more pressure in a deck that gives really strong generic beatdown numbers. And it's a good, strong replacement for Black Tier Hush Dragon, because Black Tier Hush Dragon was, yeah, it was just a 15k if you played an order. And that's good at times, but you need that like push, which is what Zorga needs. It needs an end game, the threat. And making your opponent drop 2 cards in the early game is, or even at the late game, is very key, because they need to get rid of the cards they may need later on, or they can't just PG something. They have to PG something and then drop something else if you have a big number on board. Next up, you play 4 copies of Inheritance Maiden Hendriana. 2 reasons. 1, she reduces Soul Blast cost for all your orders, which is very important because you want to mitigate all of your resources. And because if you overdo your resources by just playing your orders, you won't have any resources if you need it for something else, like for Fleet Eater. That's so super important now. Second off is that she mills 3. Milling 3 is really key because you need to fill out that drop zone in order to put the Fleet Eaters in there, to put your extra Zorgas in there. If you have these, you just have more of a pool to draw from for your resurrections for Zorga's Counterblast 1 res something. And just Hendriana is just a 10k beater, very good for early game rush, and you need to apply that pressure. Next up, we got our grade 1s. We play 4 Planet Protect Dragon because PGs is good. Guarding is good. Living is good. Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that if you do run out of cards, or you only have 1 card left in your hand other than this, or this is your last card in your hand, PGing free is very solid. We played the brand new Rogue Headhunter. He is now we have Counterblast mitigation for our orders. That's very important. His skill is continuous. If you played an order this turn, it gets +5. So it's a 13k if you just played an order. 13k attacker and a 13k booster. Super solid. Second effect is when placed, hand or drop zone, wherever you may call it, your orders, next time you would use an Alchemagic order, you reduce the counterblast by 1. So it stacks. If you call 2 out, let's say 1 from hand, 1 from drop, the next Alchemagic you would play, if it's say like counterblast 2, you pick counterblast nothing. Super important, very key, because this deck does not have a horn counter charge. We do, but we don't play it for a reason. It's not great. You could test it out. I certainly did in the last format because Prison was a horrid matchup that I was always afraid of facing against. But now we're just kind of say, forget it. I'm just gonna beat face and hope to God, hope for the best, because you got these cards to mitigate for it. And if they put these into the order, if they put these into the prison, you could take these out. You can use the skill to not only mitigate more of your cost for your orders, and this one also mitigates too. So honestly, just so good, so good. Next up, the triggers. Over trigger. It's an omni trigger. I know people are starting to go back to the trial deck trigger and then giving the 100 million. That's great. That's cool now. But I like having 4 triggers in one. It's very nice. I like having a front trigger. I like having a crit trigger. I like having a draw trigger and then another draw. Very good. Very strong. Very toxic as well. But you know, we're not going to talk about that. That's the whole rant by itself. Now what, we play good old 8's crit because we are a tempo beatdown deck. And this deck only lasts so far because 1, you have the mill out. 2, you can't guard your opponent's big attacks because they clap back on your clap back. So you need to deal as much damage as possible. So either through an early game rush or by just hitting them with crits. So technically playing 9 crits in the deck. We play 3 of the new front trigger. The reason being is because it's a 20k shield and we need more shield value in the deck. However, if you want to go for a more aggressive playstyle, definitely I would consider going back to the old front trigger, because the fact of the matter is that if you called this through, like, let's say you're playing the Soul Blast 2 order, you call this out, if you milled it, it would still be a 9k compared to the original front trigger's 10k. And 10k is a lot better than 9k because that 1k can ruin magic numbers. So it's up to your preference. Honestly, you can also just play the draw triggers if you really want to dig for the orders, dig for Handriana as your rogue headhunters. If you really feel as though you want to draw, I would definitely replace these for draw triggers. And then finally, heal triggers, because guess what, guys? Healing good. If we were to manage to play 12 crits, sure, yeah, why not? I play 12 crits. I don't care. I'm on a timer already, so might as well just beat them up while I'm on a timer. All right, and now we're here for what you guys really want, which is the orders. I play 2 Spiritual Body Condensation because it's a starting order. And like if it's in your hand or it's in your drop, it's a cheap order that does a really good effect. However, unlike before, we have new options to bring out more cards or to do more interactions. This card's effect is just okay. It's just okay now in the current meta because only calling 1 rearguard with +5 is not the greatest. You can change these out if you feel more confident in playing the Soul Blast 2 order. I'd probably play that because it just turbos up your deck more and giving you more power, more pressure. You have to be fearing the deck out, which is unfortunate, but it be what it be. We play 3 of the new Regurgitation from the Underworld. The reason being is because it's a brand new order that calls 2 rearguards. It's very important without milling the deck. I like this one because I like retiring my opponent's pesky rearguards. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your, it's a grade 3 order. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. And then you would call a unit from your drop zone matching that opponent's grade. But if you were to do this with Alchemagic, retire one of your opponent's rearguards or one of your rearguards, and then call 2 units. So that means that if I retire someone's Interceptor, I retire that. Instead of calling 1 through Alchemagic, I would instead call 2 Hendrianas if I had 2 in the drop zone. So basically just filling the board. It's good for interaction. However, you do lose the power. So I'm still tempted to just switch back and forth between the 2 if I believe in the pressure and I believe in the just generic beatdown. Next, we play 3 Greek Despair Rejection. Because this deck needs to have big numbers, it needs to hit those big numbers consistently. Greek Despair is for a counterblast, giving 3 units +10. As long as you're on a Zorga, it's really strong. Especially on a Persona ride, it'll be basically giving your front board a +20k. And beating your opponent down with, let's say, like a 30k Hendriana. It's just really strong, very good. And you can put this at 2. I like it at 3 because I want to get that pressure to beat up my opponent, which is why, like I said, Regurgitation's nice. I'm liking it so far, but I also could see myself playing the Cursed Souls, Wriggles, and Agony. And then we play 2 of the new order, Nectar of Sensationalism. It is a very good one because this is one of the pressure cards this deck needs. Choose one of your rear guards. It gets +5 for every 5 cards in your drop zone. If you have 15, that unit gets a crit. It's very good because it's free. It's a grade 2 order and it's free. And we like free cards because if we don't have we haven't seen any of these for any reason, having a free order is very good. It's very strong, very solid. And just being able to cycle through it and just have a crit, beating up your opponent, super strong, very, very good. And our last 3 orders is, and you guys thought I would forget him, never. Ghost Chase is so good because we mill, and we mill. And we mill out the over trigger, we mill out the heal triggers, we mill out our crit triggers. And guess what? We need shield, so we use Ghost Chase to bounce those cards back to our hand, beat up your opponent. Ghost Chase does, like, I would, like, you could play it at 2, but, like, I guess I'm not really comfortable with that, but I like it at 3. Especially with this, is like, let's say you retire your opponent's grade 0 or something like that, or grade 1, you could call 2, like, a Rogue Headhunter and then a PG. And then you use Ghost Chase in order to bounce back the PG back to hand and then make your opponent think that you either have a PG or you don't. Makes your opponent think about what you're doing. Because I remember there's games where if I milled out the over trigger, I would call the over trigger for no reason, just to maybe have a booster. I would have to make my opponent play around and me having a Ghost Chase even if I don't have a Ghost Chase. So realistically, Ghost Chase is not only a really strong card, it's also like a mind game card. If they don't have no way to just blow up my entire board, I have to make them think like, all right, how are you going to guard this? How are you going to attack, make an attack round towards me if I have a Ghost Chase in my hand? But overall, guys, the deck gets significantly better. I will say that, like, I will say this because I think it got a lot better than Magnolia. Maggie just kind of got, how you say, the shaft, in my opinion. Honestly, I believe that Zorga really has that potential. It's like it's a good B tier deck. It's a good, like, it makes people think, makes people have to, like, play around what you play. I would definitely recommend you guys trying this out. Make changes. Tell me what you guys would like to put in. If you guys still play Alenia, If you guys still play Cursed Souls, let me know. I will do my best to respond, or one of the other guys will will respond for me. And if you guys like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And that's all for me today, y'all. Deuces.